This is hat 2 that we're going to be making next. It's made out of sinemay loops and the coke and the biot. It's a great hat for the races, as you can see, and it's also would be good for weddings or special occasions. So I think it's a good one to be making. I'm wanting to show you the kit for hat 2. Everything's there that would be in your kit. The difference is that I've rolled the loops already and I've sewn them down, all except one, this one here, and I'm going to show you how I did it. But these have been curled. They're the goose spikes, and Rachel's putting the feathers into the piece of sinemay for gluing. So we're all ready to roll, but most of these techniques I've already shown you, so I won't repeat them. Now with this, I've rolled either edge, and then all you do with that is pull it out like that, there, and turn it over like that, probably that way, and put a little bit of a fold in it there, like that. Get your thimble, if you use one, and your thread, and we're just going to a few stab stitches here, holding that together. And then we're ready to move on. There's 3 steps. There's the base, which we've done. Well, we've already made one because you saw it on the first hat how to do it. So I've made one up. And the second step is putting the loops on and attaching them. And then step 3 is gluing on the feathers. Okay, that'll hold. Just a few stitches is all we need. Big stitches, don't need little ones. That's the other side. Now we've finished step 1. We made this hat in, this base in hat 1, so you know how to do that, so I've gone ahead and made it for you. So step 2 is putting the loops on. So I'm going to pin them on now. Starting with this one, about halfway, about there, right at the halfway mark, perhaps a bit further up, pin it. If you think they look too long, cut a little bit off the end here, oops, and go right through. Nice firm base, it's a bit hard to go through. There we are, that's one on. So it's going, you can see through there. Now this first one is pinned securely on the hat, it's going to be sewn on. This one here is not level with the centre one, it's back a little bit and slightly on the side so you can't sort of see through. And pin it, we'll be sewing it on. Now these can all be made a bit, you know, shorter. If you're trying it on your head, have a mirror there and have the hat on and off your head all the time. And if you think it's a bit long, I'll just show you this one here where I've cut them. I've started off with pretty much the same, but I've cut them all smaller. Sometimes people, if they're going to a wedding, they don't want a hatty looking arrangement, so they want something really small, but that's what you can do, make the loop smaller. Here's the third one coming up to go the same way as this one, leaving this middle one out a bit further, and this one's turning on its side, and then I'm going to sew them in place to make them secure. I'm going to sew these loops on now. I thought you might like to see me doing that. So we just come through from underneath, stab through, sort of back stitch, go back a bit, then forward and down, big stitches.
Now Mum, why are you sewing this one instead of gluing it like the other hat?
Well, there's quite a few to put on, and glue makes the hat a bit heavier for a start, but with loops like this, and there's so many of them, I'd rather put them on, sew them on, and then if I want to move them, if I look at it when they're all together and think, no, it looks, you know, they're out too far or something, well, it's easier to undo the stitches and sew them back on again rather than, well, you know, fiddle around with a hairdryer getting the glue off so you can move them. So I'm doing it really for myself more than anything, so it's a bit easier if I want to move them. And just pull the pins out. I mean, it only takes a shake to sew them on. Another pin hiding in there. There we are.
Yes, you wouldn't want to forget a pin, would you? You might find
that's right.
Find it at the wrong moment.
Yeah, we try not to leave pins in. So these are the lower loops. So that's the back, because the join's there, and here's your little centre front mark. So these loops are coming down. Now you put the same thing, the centre, one in the centre first. You're leaving that fairly flat there, and there's a reason for that. We don't want a lot of bulk in the centre, because that's where we'll be putting feathers and so forth, and if we have a whole lot of bulk, it can be lumpy and awful. So this one goes slightly on the side like the other one and not quite as far out, so it comes perhaps back a little bit more. Pin that on. Try not to stab yourself. These are shirt pins, they're lovely and sharp. There's the third one going on. Same thing, just slightly at an angle, not as far out as there. Now I've asked Rachel to put the feathers in, the strip coke, and she's put it behind the those loops there, and they can go in the front here, but she preferred them behind there, and that's fine. I mean, there's no hard and fast rules with millinery. She's now going to glue in some biot for us, and while she's doing that, I'll work on the knot that's going to go in the centre and cover all the sewing.
Is that right?
Yes, that's lovely.
So the fun thing is I can choose wherever I want to put these.
You can. Just go anywhere. Rachel's working away there in the background. With this knot that I'm making, it came in the kit. It measures 28 centimetres by 7 centimetres, and I've rolled the edges for you already. And we're just going to make just a knot with it. Pull that through there like you would for a knot, like that. Got glue stuck to my fingers. Now this piece is going to come around and sit there, and this piece is coming and joining it. So what I'm going to do is glue them together. I think that's the simplest thing to do. So I'll just wait till Rachel's not using the gun. Well, Rachel, how are you going?
Well, I'm finding that they're coming out the sides a bit wildly like this. Is that,
no,
what do I do about that?
Well, it is better if they're going upwards. So I find if I tuck them behind there, they'll sit there. They're so light. And pop that one through there. Everything needs to be going upwards,
right,
excepting these that are
the ones that are
obviously
going down.
While Rachel's doing that, I'm going to do the knot again, in case you didn't catch it. So I'm just turning it like that, pulling it through like you would for the knot. And then this piece here is tucking down there. And this one here is tucking around. And I'm going to glue both of those ends together. But for the moment I'm just going to pin it, because Rachel's using the glue gun. This is hat 2 that's finished, it's complete now. Rachel put the feathers on and I've made the knot, and I've put the knot just there. It's sitting there. You need to manipulate the knot a little bit. I've sewn the knot on because I didn't feel it was a good idea to glue it on. So I sewed it on, and I think it looks nice. I think it looks great. And I hope you do. So that's complete now, and we'll move on to hat 3.